flamme, c'est la vie.
Ladies and gentlemen, once more you're welcome to Media 2 Africa. Right now it's 4:25 in Washington, D.C. and 3:25 in Chicago. I'm very sure that Cameroonians are still up and they'll be watching this show. Today I have very strong guests. We have Mr. Kenneth, who is our consultant, who at any time he has a chance, he always stops by. Equally, on my left, I have Mr. Jose, who is representing the embassy to the United States, the Cameroonian embassy to the United States of America. Jose has been here on many occasions to defend the position of the government. In a while, Eric Tato, the secessionist representative, will be here equally. I think today we'll have a very strong debate. I thank you for always being faithful and tuning in to follow our platform debate. And today we'll be entertaining you with sufficient information concerning the lockdown that has caused thousands to run from the northwest and the southwest to either French Cameroon, as we call it now, that the crisis is going on. What is the solution? The debate tonight will be talking about the solutions we are looking up to bring to board, because the government is preaching school return. And right now, the soldiers are still being deployed to the northwest and southwest. The people who escaped the crisis, they are still in the bushes. We still have refugees in thousands in Nigeria. Equally, we still have internally displaced personalities. How would it be possible for them to go to school? The government still has to tell us that. We have seen many outings from the government representatives who have been preaching the school return. But what is the solution? Military is still being deployed. As I said, today we'll be listening to the representative of the government, who I believe will be on the hot seat because he has to provide the solutions. Thank you once more. I'll be welcoming in Jose, who is on my left. Welcome, my brother.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Media
to Africa.
To Africa.
Yes.
I don't know if we'll be speaking in French or English.
Either I will be struggling with my French, while you struggle with English. It will be a bilingual show.
I can be speaking in English or in French as
go
please.
With the language that
I just have first to thank all the viewers, the televiewers for this broadcast network, which is a great network in our community, who is strengthening the action of mediation, democracy, and inclusivity. So once again, I'm here today just to share you the position of my beloved party, the ruling party, who's trying to do the best to keep peace, stability, and growth in a great country called Cameroon.
Thank you so much. Here on my right, I have our consultant, Mr. Kenneth, who just stepped in. Despite all that he has on his schedule, he did his best to be here. Once more, you are welcome.
Thank you, Modest. I'm glad to be here again, and I hope we can give our viewers a good show today, keep people abreast of what is happening in the occupied territories of southern Cameroon. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, Mr. Modest.
Monsieur Jose.
Yes, I was trying to add something which is very important here. I'm not representing the embassy. I am
the government.
I am a strong militant of the CPDM, president of the diaspora, BIA, which everybody knows when they see me on this platform. I'm actually on the side of the action of the government. So I'm supporting the action of the government, which is the ruling party, which I'm a strong member.
Merci, José. Ici, c'est une plateforme un peu bilingue. Je vais me battre et bricoler mon français pour que vous puissiez bien comprendre ce que je vais vraiment vous poser comme question. Le gouvernement est en train de se battre pour qu'il y ait rentrée scolaire. Et au fur et à mesure où on parle, il y a toujours le déploiement de militaires dans les zones anglophones qui fait fuir la population vers l'ouest du Cameroun. Est-ce que c'est ça la solution? C'est l'une des solutions que le gouvernement entend apporter pour qu'il puisse avoir ces rentrées scolaires, autant parler, parce que la population se plaint. les gens ont même d'abord peur des militaires. Pourquoi d'abord les militaires? On a les gendarmeries et la force police qui doivent maintenir la paix. Parce que les militaires, c'est quand il y a intervention extérieure. Pouvez-vous apporter quelques réponses à mes deux questions?
Oui, j'aimerais d'abord, merci Modeste, j'aimerais d'abord que nous essayions de mettre dans le contexte la situation socio-politique du Cameroun, celle qui a entraîné au problème du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Aujourd'hui, bientôt un peu plus de 3 ans et demi, le Cameroun vit une crise socio très grave, où il y a des millions de déplacés, il y a eu des tués. Moi-même, j'ai perdu mon jeune frère dans cette insurrection que personne n'a vu venir et que personne n'a voulu. Aujourd'hui, on voit les militaires sur le terrain. Ça n'a pas commencé par les militaires. Et comme certains de nos aînés disent, les actions que le gouvernement a menées depuis que ces problèmes ont commencé, à savoir les revendications des corporations, à savoir les avocats et les enseignants, il y a eu des solutions qui ont été apportées, mais jamais on n'a présenté ça, que ce soit dans les réseaux sociaux, que ce soit dans les télévisions parallèles qui sont d'opposition. La crise s'est enlisée. Et aujourd'hui, là où elle est, avec des gens qui ont des armes, des gens qui ont tué, des militaires, des civils, qui ont créé, qui ont fragilisé l'économie, faire fermer des structures, à savoir le CDC et beaucoup d'autres structures que vous connaissez, brûler les commissariats. Je crois que aux problèmes forts, il faut des solutions fortes. Et même dans les pays où nous vivons ici, quand il y a des problèmes d'une certaine gravité, ça ne relève plus de la police. Les pays dans lesquels nous trouvons que c'est la grande démocratie, ils mettent des forces d'unité très fortes. Quelquefois même, on en arrive à avoir des militaires. Donc, ça c'est un peu ce que je voulais dire à ce qui concerne les militaires. La deuxième question était à savoir
pourquoi prêcher autant la rentrée scolaire alors qu'il y a encore les gens en brousse, il y a encore les déplacés internes, il y a les écoles brûlées.
Le Cameroun ne va pas s'arrêter parce que certaines personnes ont décidé de nuire au bien vivre des citoyens de la région du nord et du sud-ouest. Aux États-Unis, quand on tire dans une école, les autres écoles ouvrent. Pendant qu'on fait des investigations, on ne ferme pas toutes les écoles aux États-Unis parce qu'il y a eu shooting dans une école. Au Cameroun, nous avons des problèmes. Même dans les régions du nord et du sud-ouest, il y a des régions où certaines écoles sont ouvertes. Et vous êtes d'accord avec moi que le gouvernement fait des efforts. Il y a eu des descentes sur le terrain. Il y a des dons qu'on a donnés. Les dons chinois. Le ministre Atanga est sur le terrain tous les jours. Ndion Goutessier est rendu. On comprend, ce n'est pas encore la grande affluence, mais la réalité est la suivante. On a condamné Ayouk Tabé. Tout commence sur la condamnation de M. Ayouk Tabé, qui s'est autoproclamé président de la République. Et la forme de l'État du Cameroun n'a pas changé. C'est un Camerounais, puisque si Ayouk Tabé aux États-Unis, il a voyagé avec un passeport du vert ou jaune. Il n'a pas voyagé avec un passeport ambazonien. Donc il est jugé selon les lois du pays dont il porte le passeport, ce passeport qui l'a permis de voyager. Nous comprenons qu'aujourd'hui, il refuse d'être camerounais. Il est libre de choisir la nationalité dont il veut, mais pendant qu'il est sur le territoire camerounais, il doit être jugé par les lois de notre pays telles que la Constitution la prévoit. Les gens trouvent que la sanction est très lourde. C'est pour ça que les gens ont tellement peur. C'est justement cette torpeur que M. Ayouk Tabé a instaurée dans ces régions qui font que nous qui avons perdu des membres de nos familles, trouvons que la sentence a été même à la minima. Pour moi, M. Ayouk Tabé méritait même la peine de mort. Puisque mon jeune frère, il est mort. Plus que plein de militaires sont morts. Les familles ont perdu leur vie. Et même les anglophones qui ne sont pas sécessionnistes ont perdu leur vie. Il faut qu'on regarde le problème dans le fond. On n'a pas regardé, M. Ayouk Tabé a créé une insurrection. Bon, vraiment, pour que les enfants vont à l'école, laissons-le comme ça. On va comprendre que oui, le chef de l'État est en train de voir des voies et moyens pour pouvoir envoyer les enfants à l'école. Il n'y a aucune garantie qu'on aurait libéré M. Ayouk Tabé que ces sécessionnistes laisseraient les enfants aller à l'école. C'est ce que moi je pense.
Oui, ça reste à savoir, cette crise a commencé comme une marche pacifique. Que les anglophones ils sont sortis dans les rues juste pour réclamer certains droits. Et c'était pacifique. Et les premiers à porter les armes, c'était le gouvernement qui a envoyé les policiers qui est venu brutaliser le peuple. arrêté les Abobala qui étaient les marchés pacifiques, que jusqu'à aujourd'hui, ils prêchent pour la fédération, qui a été d'abord traité comme sujet tabou par l'ex-ministre Issa Chiruma et d'autres de ses confrères. À nos jours, avec la liberté de presse, qu'on dit, donc marcher pacifiquement, qu'est-ce qui a fait qu'on envoie les hommes en tenue de venir brutaliser les avocats et les enseignants?
Je pense qu'il faut que nous essayons d'être un peu honnêtes. Et c'est ce que le ministre, je vais encore reparler de Paul Atanga, on va dire, c'est le ministre de l'Intérieur du Cameroun.
Oui.
Quand ces marches ont commencé, on a cadré ces gens. Mais il a commencé à avoir des casses. Le rôle de nos forces de sécurité et de défense, c'est de protéger les citoyens, ceux qui respectent la loi. Peut-être la forme de l'institution du Cameroun n'est pas celle que les sécessionnistes veulent, mais pour l'instant, c'est la forme que les Occidentaux nous ont laissée. Et nous avons pris depuis les indépendances et nous sommes en train de créer une nation. Vous comprenez? Et pour créer une nation, il y a des formes légales, des formes démocratiques, les voies démocratiques par lesquelles on utilise pour apporter un changement. Je crois que l'armée est descendue dans le terrain quand on a commencé à brûler les commissariats, les sous-préfectures, qui sont l'image, les emblèmes de la gestion de notre État. Donc c'est là où le gouvernement a compris, oh, ce n'est plus ce qu'on pense, c'est quelque chose qui a pris une autre allure. Et on trouvait des armes, de guerre entre les mains de ces gens. Je dis, au problème fort, des représailles fortes. Les policiers n'utilisent pas des armes de guerre. Et ils ont tué combien de policiers avant qu'on a mis l'armée? S'ils réussissent à tuer même des soldats. Donc je pense, monsieur Modeste, il ne faut pas prendre ce problème avec beaucoup de légèreté. Et moi, je pense même qu'il y a une main extérieure dans tout ça. Parce que ces gens, le Cameroun, le triangle du Cameroun est protégé par nos forces de sécurité et de défense. Mais dans le Cameroun, nous avons des armes de guerre qui sont entre les mains de certaines personnes qui disent qu'ils ne veulent plus être partie du Cameroun, qui nous a été légué par ces mêmes Occidentaux. Monsieur Modeste, c'est à vous que je retourne la question.
Je vous reviendrai à quelques minutes parce que c'est une question qu'on va vraiment bien entamer ça pour que vous puissiez expliquer aux Camerounais et au monde entier qui nous suivent pourquoi on a préféré certaines actions pour trouver solution et comme à l'heure actuelle pour donner une sanction très forte aux leaders des sécessionnistes alors qu'on entendait le dialogue inclusif. Avant de vous revenir, je vais d'abord passer le micro à M. Kenneth. Kenneth, you're welcome once more. We'll be giving you the microphone before we introduce Tato. Eric, who has just joined, he stepped out. Once more, I need to tell my televiewers that Tato Eric is the CEO of National Telegraph here in Washington, D.C. And Eric Tato is an activist, as we know. It's not, but we don't need to introduce him anymore. He's a very popular and celebrated activist. Eric Tato, you're welcome. While Mr. Kenneth is taking the mic, Mr. Kenneth, once more, we are honored to have you again.
Thank you, Modest. Yeah. My brother Jose, who is an ardent supporter of the Cameroon, of the ruling party, and as you would know, the ruling party, as President Biya himself has said, is the party that is close to power. In other words, CPDM is the ruling party, but is close to power, closer to power than other. So that power is actually elsewhere. I think we need to take a note of that. Now, having said that, Jose has said a litany of things which, in fact, I'm even confused. I don't know where to start because our Southern Cameroon struggle in its present form started with lawyers and teachers who were asking for their very, very basic rights. And not only were they asking for their basic rights, but requests went on to the government for more than 2 years. For more than 2 years. And when the Minister of Injustice in particular, that is Laurent Esso, the Minister of Injustice, who played mum and dumb to the request of especially the lawyers, they decided as lawyers to demonstrate. In our Southern Cameroon's Anglo-Saxon system,
This is something that is very, very basic. And when their rights were trampled upon by the military, which was sent out to basically to put tear gas on them and do other things that they are used to over there in the French Cameroons. I mean, this hit the core of our justice system that I don't know what to say, but it really hit us and just brought out this struggle in its present form the way it is. A lot of people who were never really sympathetic or had any idea about Southern Cameroons, now with the help of Laurent Esso, again the Minister of Injustice, and others such as, what is his name, he called him, the one who passes for the Minister of the other one who passes for Minister of Interior, Atanganji. People like that rather caused a radicalization of the population in the occupied territories. So we now have our struggle to reclaim and restore the independence of these territories. Now, let me say a little bit about back to school. The Southern Cameroons, there is why is the government of La République du Cameroun interested in people going back to school in the occupied territories after 3 years? Why? What is their vested interest in this? Did they not have any idea that people were not going to school for 3 years, and all of a sudden they woke up from sleep with a knee-jerk reaction for people to go back to school? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It is the role of any government to create an amiable milieu, not only for businesses to flourish, but for education and all these other things to take place. What we have in Cameroon is not a military that one can describe as the forces of law and order. What we have are the forces of anarchy and disorder, who, whenever they have stepped foot just about anywhere within the occupied territories, have engaged in a scorched earth policy. Over 280 villages have been burned. Schools have been touched, fired. Hospitals as well. I mean, things that contravene the Geneva Conventions completely. And as fate would have it, the government of bad faith, the government of Laro, the occupier, has gone repeatedly on air through the monopoly of CRTV and told blatant lies in broad daylight. Whether it was Issa Chiroma Bakari, the former minister of, what is it called? Communication. Or is it today René Sadi, who spent over 20 years next to Paul Biya at the presidency? Paul Biya has been tossing René Sadi left, right, and center. Today he's at the communication and is miscommunicating to the entire world. So these people are not serious. If schools have to reopen, the military that has been deployed throughout the occupied territories needs to withdraw. The other day, the First Lady was lifting up the hands of her husband, President, to say goodbye, or I don't know, whatever it was. Now, is that somebody who can sit in and carry out a meaningful conversation with anybody? So why are those who are surrounding him and purporting to rule, Ferdinand Gongo, who now has the signatory, why are those, anyway, maybe I'm giving them a little bit too much credit. Perhaps their frames of discernment doesn't even allow them to reason to that level that they can assuage or solve this crisis. So I'll stop there for now, but my brother would say there were so many other things that he said that we'll revisit during the course of this debate. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the detailed analysis and questions you have asked that I hope my friend will be very strong enough to answer these questions. I want to welcome on board Eric Tato, CEO for National Telegraph. Eric Tato, you are once more welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Modest. Always a pleasure being here. God bless you.
Thanks, Eric. Eric, I will be welcoming you with a very strong question. I have a regular follower of our platform who asked this question right all the way from Europe. His name is Lorate Nyonji. He's an elder brother who schooled with me. He said, Eric, you have succeeded in stopping funds flowing into the IG, aka IG of SACO. Is this kind of donor fatigue or funding apathy?
Well, I want to thank that follower. I think these are questions that are very necessary for a revolution. But the first thing is that, you know, I enjoy when people are very consistent in their dishonesty, because if you say I stop money from flowing into the IG SACO, first of all, SACO has no IG. We have to clear this. Everybody who is here, including Brother Kenneth, knows that if you want to be revolutionary, you must understand that there are stages. When you have crossed, then you have independence. Number one, you expect that the military will attack your people, they'll burn villages, and every revolutionary person must pray for the arrest of their leaders. Once they arrest their leaders and put them in jail, you begin to have international recognition. So when a group of power mongers and embezzlers sit out here and they say that they have an IG, no, there was one IG that was being led by Seko Ayoktabe Julius. And when Ayoktabe Julius was arrested, the IG was given to SACO as acting president in confidence.
Yes.
So when you have somebody's property, although it's not a property, I'm saying it's not somebody's property, but I'm trying to be analytical.
Yes.
You're a caretaker, and if that person thinks, with the help of other stakeholders, that you're not doing the right thing, and then he asks you to hands off. As a matter of fact, there was an area where, so I want to answer that caller, or that follower. There was an area where we had a meeting with Sisiko Ayoktabe Julius and Dr. Sako. And Ayok said, okay, I'm going to recall any announcement I've made. That was a compromise. And Sako, you should forget about the 76-man list that you named, because the problem was in the bulk of government. How can you run a revolution with 76 people, even if they are volunteers? So Ayok gave a compromise. Sako refused. I was in that meeting. So that's the first thing. So first of all, I want to clarify him and the international community that there is no IG led by Sako. What Sako is leading is his own group that he has created out of power mongering and envy. I don't want to talk about these things every time. So there's only one IG led by Seko Ayoktabe Julius, and which I've recognized on my platform as CEO of National Telegraph, which BBC recognizes, which Al Jazeera does, Cameroon Tribune, CRTV, Equinox, Media Day Afrique, National Telegraph, all the newspapers, Washington Post, State Department, the US Congress, they recognize Ayok as a leader of the revolution, the secessionist movement. Even the CPDM mandate knows it's Ayoktabe, is not Sako. So if the Ambazonian people want their independence, they should do the revolutionary thing. Each time their leader is in jail, everybody, no matter the difference, you're supposed to rally behind that person, irrespective of that person's tribe in the revolution. Whether it comes from Manyun Dongaman, in our case, you rally behind him and get your independence. You must have this argument. So the first thing is that there is no IG Sako. What Sako is leading is a clone and fake IG. And I've said it any time. I don't want to go into back to these discussions. Number two, how did I stop funding from going to Sako? Sako is not reliable with money. If you say I stop funding, I take the credit. And I thank God for you identifying that fact. Somebody who has embezzled 480 million does not deserve to have $1 anymore. He would have said shamelessly that I stopped funding from going to the revolution. No, I did not. I said contribute to your counties. Even when Sako was there and he refused to give us details or accountability 14 months ago, Mr. Kennedy here would have been following me. I was consistent on the fact that give your money to your counties. We have 13 counties. I don't want to talk about these things. So there is no issue about anything about Sako, IG, funding. I can say the difference between Dr. Sako and a rat is that the rat has a tail. Because you cannot give somebody money, 480 times they embezzle, then you have surrogates, they are everywhere asking questions every day. I've told them in my last live shows that you people should leave me in peace about this my trip to buy stuff. I want to stop talking about it, but if you come with it to my face, I'm going to give you the hot pepper soup to drink.
So right at now, at the moment that Siseko is in prison, who is occupying like interim position of government?
There is Yerima Daphne. That's the vice
Yerima
president
Daphne.
that until recently I recognize him. And when Siseko was given a life sentence, Chris Anu and the rest, they should ask themselves that why did BBC not call them for interview? Because the world would recognize by the leader that they know that is the leader of the people. It is not about being in a WhatsApp group of 20 people or 110 people or 190 people and you're arguing, no, Sako that's the best, Sako is this. No. For example, Sako called for the lockdown from the 26th to from the 26th, but he failed. It was respected by 2%, only parts of Bamenda. Manfred did not respect it. Kumba, how can you call a ghost town and you are from Fako and all the cities in your own county, they disrespect it? So what support are you talking about?
So when are you people trying to rally these forces? Because Sako at least has a faction that is supporting him. When do you people see that you will do like a kind of call together? So because that will bolster the struggle. If Sako comes with his faction and the other people, and this joins the forces behind Siseko, who is in jail right now, that would be stronger. Is there any kind of thing like that in the pipeline? We
all pray for that.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. When you deal with people who are fundamentally wicked and vicious, who are very, very consistent in evil, and they are bent on having control of what is not theirs, it is almost very difficult to change their mentality. You see, to me, first and foremost, Sako does not have the money, he does not have the strategy, and his followers are as good as fake profiles on Facebook. They only make noise. They're activists who do not want a compromise. So if Sako ever thinks, because Siseko is in jail, he has a vice president, if Sako ever thinks that there should be some form of a unity, he should move forward towards it. He should initiate it as a man of God. He should initiate an issue of national reconciliation within the Ambazonian revolution. He should initiate it. I have initiated many times, so that we know it's coming from him. But how will he do it when he has a large mouth in the name of Chris Anu, who thinks that he can come every day on air and bring conspiracy theories? And I want the world to know that we have one leadership, and that's why you see Cho Ayaba is moving towards Siseko. Apart from the Sako faction that quarrels with everybody, they attack Wiba, they attack Siseko, attack everybody on the line. No other person is fighting. So basically, there is no division in Ambazonia. We don't have no division. We don't have no division. The international community knows that we have one leadership in jail, and Ayaba himself said that alliance with Siseko is critical. But every day Sako will be making a speech on behalf of Ambazonia. If ask yourself a question that if you have major activists, Mark Barata, Eric Tato, Tapang, everybody, you have lost all the major activists. What do you have?
Then there's a problem in the House, which will be giving credits to the CPDM, the party in power, who has been criticized for holding power for that long and with the difficulties to handle issues. And we have the secessionist or the struggle group members are not even succeeding in uniting themselves, rallying forces to really focus on the goal.
The point is that people are trying to rally, but you have one person in the Sako-led faction, the Sako Common, I call it Dr. Common Sense group, that thinks that, my brother, I have said before in my live show that, yes, you can say that you people did not use the money, you did this with the money, but the action of the gang is not commensurate. Okay, now, we said, let's forget about the money, like I said in my last show about a week or so ago. Let's forget about the money. Okay, but you people have surrogates every day. Every tato, this, you pay people to do audios, and then you look at somebody like Chris Anu, who has lost complete relevance. Because if you call for a ghost town, you come and open a large mouth on television, you think that I have called for a ghost town together with the other lockdown from the second, and you will see what they call lockdown. You see this? You see this? You see? Mami Wata goes down. This is how it's going to be.
Okay.
Yes.
So I hope the televiewers are seeing Mami Wata goes down as Eric Tato is preaching. That is the T-shirt with the logo, with the Ambazonian flag, and Mami Wata goes down. That is coming days ahead.
So on the second.
On the second. I'll be coming back to you and Mr. Kenneth. Why I concentrate a little bit on Mr. José. Monsieur José, comme vous venez d'expliquer, la plupart des Camerounais disent on a vu le président Paul Biya comme sa femme soulevait ses mains pour diriger la direction où il devait suivre, qu'il est trop vieux pour gouverner. N'est-ce pas, c'est vrai?
Je voulais, Monsieur Modeste, que nous ayons... Je vais répondre à la question tout à l'heure. Avant d'y arriver, je sais que sûrement Eric m'écoute quand je parle en français et qu'il est avec. Je voulais que nous recadrons un peu le débat parce que je suis venu pour un débat où nous devons parler des enfants qui doivent aller à l'école et ce que le gouvernement est en train de faire pour que ces enfants vont à l'école. N'en déplaise au fait que des sécessionnistes veulent diviser, veulent prendre leur territoire. Je suis né dans ce Cameroun autant que Eric Tato, autant que Kenneth, autant que toi Modeste. Et nous avons trouvé une formule d'un pays qui nous avait été légué, who was led by us by the colonial master. Okay? Yeah. Whether the shape of the country was the way we like it or not, but there was some kind of independence lead to us. I've understood some people fed English, so other one fed French. Some fed Catholicism, some fed Muslim. Okay, Muslim, and we end up have all our destiny who was entangled around one triangle called Cameroon. Okay, so my belief as a young Cameroonian who have chosen my political party, free in any democratic country in the world, I'm CPDM today, tomorrow I can be whatever, okay?
Sure.
But as the position that I look in the political spectrum of Cameroon, I believe as now CPDM is my choice. Today I came here to discuss with some brothers so we can find the tip point. How can I tell them what we are doing, understanding their struggle? They're free to choose to decide to divide Cameroon. That's why when Tato got here, I shook his hand because we must disagree to agree.
To agree.
Okay? So I never chose. I could have been born in Kumba myself. I could have been born in Washington, D.C., okay? I have a child born in the United States. Maybe I have to disclose it. I was not coming in the United States 16 years ago to look for a white woman and have a mixed child. I happened to come here with the circumstances of life, end up have my first ever born child in the world in Washington, D.C., okay? And I have to assume it as a responsible human being who respect the value of all the convention Kenneth just say over here, okay? I don't want to be sitting in the table where we are talking about how Ambazonians have to fix themselves. I believe I already know Ambazonians are there. My brother was killed by some of them. I don't know who the person was. According to the world, first time I saw a dead cop in our father's living room was according to the uprising. Okay?
Yes.
So therefore, I understand. But still there, I already went to the grievance and forgiveness.
Yes.
I'm sitting around the table for the youngest Cameroonian. What I believe, when I grew up, it was Cameroon. Maybe deep history, deep back down in the history, there was Ambazonian land, which I do respect also. Okay, but I'm just saying my advice to the Ambazonese is this: even when they're going to have their own land, their own country, those children that they refuse to go to school, whether it's the francophone rule of school in their own region, when those children stay backward, because when they're going to have the independence given by maybe the Queen of England, has she just suspended the parliament in England for Boris Johnson, or maybe they're going to give by the parliament in Washington D.C., the Senate or whatever, they're still going to need some young educated Ambazonese who know how to say 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. So I was coming here today to plead to my brothers Ambazonese who believe in secession. They're still going to go before trial. It can be in Cameroon, it can be in international court, the United Nations, wherever. So let's talk about the facts, because I have some extended family in those regions. So until now, I haven't probably understood the cause of fight. Because when you start a fight, you have to make strategy. That's why you go to war, you make strategy, the backup, this, the that. So when I was here today, Modest, I'm not trying to tell you what you have to. I'm just trying to stick around that and tell them, brother Ambazonese or brothers, whatever, as we're speaking, that plot of land is still on the shape of Cameroon as a triangle. And it's still controlled by an army called L'Armée du Cameroun, recognized at the United Nations. We're going to have a session in the next 2 weeks. So as we are here, leave our children, go back to school, and when you're going to be divided, you're still going to have some young Ambazonese educated. That's my point right here.
But the problem now is we have more than many thousands of youths in the bush that have escaped the military brutality. We have many thousands of youths in Nigeria as refugees. We have some of them internally displaced, majority found in Douala, Western Province, and in Yaoundé. Then the question here is, we want students and pupils to go back to school. When satellite images showed the military burning houses and burning schools.
The same satellite images showing Ambazonese abusing their own constituency.
Sure.
It shows shows Ambazonese sending their own people back to the French region that they're fighting so they can hope find safe haven while they're over there doing some exaction, taking whatever belongs to whoever is a French-speaking person, because they have decided. We are here in America screaming loud, talk about right. American could have kicked us, all of us, out of America because they don't want to see us. If right now in the Ambazoni land, what so they call Ambazoni lands, whoever speak French is an enemy. When they're going to be independent, will they have embassy of Cameroon in Ambazoni land? Will they have embassy of any other country to welcome people, treat them as we here in the Western world, the American people treat us as immigrants and give us equal right like American born and bred here? I understand what you are saying.
Yes.
But this is the thing though, there's no such so-called army before this thing start with the uprise of the teachers and the attorneys, the avocat, right? The Cameroon army was not go in the northwest and southwest killing people. There was no satellite image show Cameroon army in Nozo killing people. So if you guys believe in America, a state gonna stand up, people gonna stay, even when the white supremacists come out and this fight, they always send the strong sharpened snipers to make sure this thing have to stop. It shows the strength of a country. Le pays doit être fort. On peut pas vivre dans un pays où chacun se lève. Si tu te lèves, tout le monde se lève au Cameroun. Je suis le président maintenant de Bafoussam. L'autre se lève au nord, je suis le président de Garoua. Et ça veut dire que l'État est faible. L'État a l'armée, a la police, a la gendarmerie pour s'occuper des problèmes forts. Je dis encore, ma position en tant que membre du RDPC, membre du parti au pouvoir, nous disons ceci. Des actions sont en train d'être menées. Si les sécessionnistes avaient continué à marcher, même pacifiquement, sans porter les armes, je crois que la communauté internationale aurait même écouté leurs pleurs. Mais je vous assure, les Blancs ne sont pas dupes. Les mêmes satellites qui vous disent, présentent aussi à ces mêmes Blancs des exactions, les mamans violées là-bas, les enfants violés, les enfants qui ont les grossesses précoces. Et on voit aussi le BIR, tapez YouTube, ce que le BIR fait dans ces régions. Il y a des hôpitaux en pleine forêt pour soigner les gens de ces régions. Et ce ne sont pas les anglophones qui sont tous dans le BIR. Il y a des militaires francophones. Et what is the point of being francophone and being anglophone have to do with this? Because francophones suffer, anglophones suffer, and the white men, while we are fighting, they're still exploiting gold and diamond and all these things. Why can't we just sit down? I understand differences are there. Yeah, the way the English system is ruled is not the way the Francophone system is ruled. I don't even like France. I'm supposed to be in France right now, born in Yaoundé, but I'm in the United States of America because I probably think this system is kind of fair, although a brother got killed yesterday driving for Uber, right? But you understand? So the problem in any system in the world. And I'm just saying, I'm begging, extending hand to my Ambazonese brothers. Like, even though you're still dealing with your fight, which is respected because I am not the highest speaker here, the head of state of Cameroon, c'est la personne la plus autorisée, le chef de l'État. Il a demandé à un dialogue. La formule du dialogue, il va vous la présenter. Je ne sais pas moi, je ne suis pas membre du gouvernement, mais je soutiens la politique du gouvernement. Je pense que la façon la plus sage, la plus raisonnable, laissez nos enfants aller à l'école, même s'ils vous appartiennent, ils ne nous sont pas pour nous, mais pendant que le Cameroun est triangulaire, à l'ONU, quand on dit que les enfants ne vont pas à l'école, l'ONU s'adresse à qui? À Paul Biya, pas à Yuktabe. Il s'adresse à Paul Biya, pas à CCC. Il s'adresse à Paul Biya et au gouvernement qui vient ici à la Banque mondiale demander des crédits, des prêts pour envoyer ses enfants à l'école.
Thank you so much. I think Mr. Kenneth will be chipping in something while Eric Tato is also preparing because you've really raised up so many things that we'll have to react to. Mr. Kenneth, I think you have the mic.
Okay, thank you. I think my brother will say who represents the position of the government has one or two things mixed up, fundamentally mixed up. And we cannot equate regional internal issues with issues of statehood. We cannot say there are no schools in the north, and then we turn around and say there are no schools also in the occupied territories of southern Cameroon, and say there are no roads in the eastern province, and then say there are no roads in the occupied territories. I would like to draw my brother Jose's attention to the fact that the 1961 constitution that La République du Cameroun and the southern Cameroons were supposed to adhere to talked about the form of the state to not be tampered with at all. that federal constitution or confederal constitution, whatever you want to call it, it was clearly stated in there that the form of the state will not be tampered with. So when Ahmadu Ahijo started tampering with the form of the state, as far back as 1966, when he, or 67 or so, when he even went as far as nominating a prime minister in the southern Cameroons, that was unconstitutional because he ran into issues with the elected premier, Bobe Augustin Gomjoa. So later on, to cut a really long story short, in 1972, Ahmadu Ahijo violated the spirit of the federal constitution by engaging in an illegal referendum. You see, these are things that were not acceptable, and not a single finger was lifted up at that time. And as fate would have it, it got in fact, it was a we or a yes vote. And people voted, and then they turned around and said that they now had a unitary state, whatever that meant. Now, they had certain agreements in there. What were some of those agreements even after the 72 constitution? After Ahijo pretty much had all his issues with Gomjoa, he now brought in S.T. Muna as the second in command to abolish the position of prime minister. So, what's his name? S.T. Muna came in and was the second in command up until 1979, when the Francophone Parliament, or what passes for a bicameral assembly at Yaoundé, turned around in 1979 and changed the constitution that the second in command, or who will take over from the president, is the prime minister. Now, let me remind all of you here that in the Senate in France, when Senghor of Senegal was about to become the Speaker of the French Senate, these guys stayed up all night and changed the constitution so that a black person should not be Speaker of the House of the French Senate. Leopold Senghor had to be Speaker of the French Senate in France long time ago. The same thing is happening in that bicameral assembly in Yaoundé, whereby that thing was changed in 79. Well, and then between 72 and 75, there was no prime minister. Ahmadu Ahijo turned around and in 75 brought in what were today's Paul Biya as prime minister in 75. Then in 82, when Biya was leaving, well, Ahmadu Ahijo was leaving, he passed the baton of power to Paul Biya in the typical thing what they see over there as a north-south axis. Now, what did Paul Biya do? Still with the what I would refer to as the Ahijo-Biya tromperie of a single and so-called indivisible Cameroon. Biya followed suit after the 1972 referendum to completely annihilate the southern Cameroons, and in February 1984 sent something over to Parliament and then finally signed a decree changing the name of Cameroon from the United Republic to La République du Cameroon. That is why I want to tell my brother Jose here that the person who has divided Cameroon, the secessionist in chief of Cameroon as we know it today, is none other than the incumbent president Paul Biya, who seceded La République du Cameroun, French Cameroon, Cameroon Oriental, from the union with the southern Cameroons or Cameroon Occidental in February of 1984. The person who divided the Cameroon is Paul Biya. Now, when I talk of La Tromperie d'Ahijo Biya, there's no a single and indivisible Cameroon with a C has never existed, and it never will exist. Why? Simply because what Paul Biya did in 84 was trigger Cameroon back to its 1960 borders, La République du Cameroun to its 1960 borders, and then the southern Cameroons go away. That's why Fonfoji Gojum Dinka went to court. So please, when you talk about the form of the state being not touchable, let's be very careful here, and let some of these people who are in power today in Cameroon not think that they are any more intelligent than any other Cameroonian seated anywhere. Some of them would think that they went to the best school. More and more Cameroonians have been to far better schools than so many of them who are seated there. And they're turning around, ruling Cameroon today with people who have been through, and I mean, that's a place that needs to be shut down completely, you know. So please, my brother will say, let us know that it is not the inhabitants of the occupied territories of southern Cameroon who are dividing Cameroon, but it is the incumbent President Paul Biya who has successfully divided Cameroon. In fact, that brings up with another issue here that permit me to just say this, that Christian Cardinal Toumi not long ago was in France, and one of the French people was talking to him and made it known to him that, I think a French senator or so, made it known to him that they are quite happy that they succeeded in assimilating the English Cameroons.
Yeah, he said that in an interview.
So ever since France had this plan and using, Amadou Ahidjo and now Paul Biya to assimilate the southern Cameroons, honestly, and maybe you have bystanders like Laurent Esso and this other half-educated guy at Tangaji who doesn't even know what he's doing, to now, annihilate us. We are a people, and by every definition in the word of it, the United Nations, as Honorable Weber said in that bicameral assembly, we shall resist the occupation. I don't know which revolution anybody has ever, any government has ever won. This is a revolution. One of the very first things that happened in this revolution was in Eric's native Manu division here, whereby a senator went over to Manu to do something, and the Aboriginals refused to sing the national anthem of Cameroon. And by the way, this Cameroon even has two national anthems. I don't know if you are aware. Cameroon has two national anthems.
Of course.
Dr. Fonlon was told to go and write a national anthem, and when he looked at the thing that they were singing over there in the French Cameroon, he could not stand it. So he had to write his own. How can you have a so-called one and indivisible country with two national anthems?
Yeah, because
does that make sense?
Not an
How can you have a country that doesn't celebrate anything as Independence Day? Cameroon has never celebrated Independence Day. What Cameroon celebrates is and that is another condemnation, what they call 20th May. That is the day that in the French Antilles, they tried to reinstitute slavery that had already been abolished on 20th May. And Ahidjo, with the little education he had, could not even understand what the French were giving to him as the so-called National Day of Cameroon.
Thank you so much.
Let me just land this. One final thing. The people who wish for a one and indivisible Cameroon, I want a one and indivisible Cameroon with a K. But can my Yose and the people who talk like him, let them go and bring us back the northern Cameroons, all those other territories of Cameroon that was lost to Ubangi, Chari, Central, to all these other places, Congo, Gabon, and so on. Then we can talk about the one Cameroon. Failing that, let us have the two states. Let them do their thing in Yaoundé, and we'll do ours in Boya. Thank you.
That was a very great education information you put out there. I think most followers have had a bit of history which was very rich, and I know you fired so many things that Jose will be waiting to respond. Yes. Eric Sato right now is agitating with a whole lot to respond to what Jose just said a while ago. Eric Tato, you have the mic.
Thank you so much, Modest. My friend over there knows that he's in America. And America is a state of law, and I get a little bit concerned about the fact that dishonesty has actually won pick-up feather on the minds of most of our friends and compatriots, even within the Ambazonian cycles, and what still is the CPDM people that Hossein represents. You see, I want to let him know something. When he talked about schools. So there's something we call pro causa non causa, cause and effect. And it is very strategic in conflict resolution. It's very important. It is drama and stupidity that a man like a Tanganyipo will be holding a placard saying that open schools. Who closed schools?
Is he Minister of Education?
Even if he were Minister of Education, even if he were a parent in Southern Cameroon, how on earth, I ask you a question, Jose, can you leave this studio if you hear gunshots out here? Naturally, you have to stay here until it's cleared. And the first thing you do, you call a police for peace. Once peace is pacified, the police represent peace in every country. Military means combat, war. So you cannot advise me on what to do with my children. That is why the government of your country, that's an occupier, a colonizer.
My brother's police officer was killed for peace. What was his term of he being killed?
Because I'll answer that question before I continue.
Calling Esketu in Batibo,
Just
drinking in any bar as a police officer.
Let me answer you that question. I have the mic.
He was a police officer.
I have the mic. A police officer is not in the uniform. Listen. A police officer is not in the uniform. A police officer is in the spirit. Because you can, a military man, a soldier, can wear a police uniform but acts like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you say, when police people who have been put there to maintain peace, they transform themselves overnight into military men, armed robbers, breaking into houses, no, they got to be taken out. I want to tell you something, my brother. You see, my concern about education is very huge. Because whether formal or informal, everybody has a right to education.
Sure.
That is why in most countries, like in those days in Norway and Sweden, we used to have what they call Erasmus Mundus, if I'm pronouncing it right, which was free scholarship. Many people have benefited from that program. The Norwegian government that has only fishing to deal with was giving free scholarship in thousands of dollars to African children and other countries and continents to come and study because education is vital. Can you go to school at the Walmart at El Paso in Texas where those people were shot and killed? You cannot go shopping there 2 hours after they have shot and killed people because the police will declare it a crime scene.
Sure.
The United Nations is supposed to declare a state of emergency in Cameroon. Ask the Cameroon government to take all the soldiers. That is why I can stand in Maryland, in anywhere in the world, and say that if you get any teacher going to school, arrest the teacher. Arrest the teacher. You know why? Because the international community has the primary obligation to arrest the crisis in Cameroon. We are paying an international tax in every country that I work. If I pay my tax to the US, it also helps the UN. It helps Cameroon. It helps Iraq. It helps everywhere. And they cannot be killing my brothers and sisters. And then you take your CPDM party to come and tell me that, oh, allow my children to go to school. We don't want school.
Okay, good.
And I can assure you one thing, my brother, that it is fundamentally important for the Cameroon government to know that me as Eric Tato, if there's one thing I will do, the last thing I will do before I die is to stop school to go on in that country. I'm telling you, the FBI has come to my house several times. The Homeland Security, I told them, no school open in Southern Cameroon. You know why? Because the right to life is primary. School is tertiary. School is not even secondary. And remind you, Mr. Kenneth said here, we are not fighting for bread prices or for petrol or for good roads at Matazer or for any connectivity or health center. We are fighting a war of independence. America knows. That is why nothing can happen to me in this country.
What does that have to relate with America? What America have to do with Cameroon?
Perfect question.
I'm Cameroonian and born there.
Perfect question.
What does
that is
America
why
have
you
to
see
give me
the issue about society and what I enjoy about my belief in principles and truth is that when a man is dishonest, he forgets his former statement. You started here by saying that you're in America.
Oh yeah, and I'm in America, and I live with American law and the shape of the state.
Good.
The shape of the state.
Do you know?
Is it perfect? Is it perfect for America? I don't think so.
Do you know that there is a universal law? universal human rights law,
which is not respected nowhere.
well, is respected everywhere that it can be respected. Apart probably
Thank
from
you.
Cameroon.
It can be respected.
I think Mr. Eric still has the mic.
Thank you so much,
sorry,
Modest.
yeah.
See, I am very determined to go to any length to ensure that children are protected. And if it means parents who will be sending their children to school be arrested, that is a revolutionary law that as a rebel, it must be enforced. I want this to be, I want even the US Congress to take note of this. No child will go to school in Southern Cameroon. I'm happy that Media to Africa is an international media organ. Let them hear me. My name is Eric Tato. I don't hide my face. I live in the state of Maryland, work in Washington, D.C. and in Virginia. I have my office in New Hampshire. The Homeland Security came there to my office. I'm not scared. See, let me tell you something.
You have the mic.
Thank you. The point is that until we become honest, you see, I'm not talking because I want to talk. Bro, you know why I call you bro? Because you are human. Even animals are our brothers. That's why people live with pets. Sometimes people should feel for us. I want to tell you one thing. The one thing that will not happen is that Cameroon can never stay together. Not after you have killed 13,000 people, burned down houses. How do you expect those women in the bushes in Banga Bakuni? Do you know how many women have been beaten and killed by snakes? Well, you're talking about school. Just in the 2 days ago, and about even now in Tamulung in Bamenda, they have killed somebody in Tamukong Street. How can a military break into a house in Gomram, take out a nursing student, shoot the child and kill a girl without a machete, without having a stick on her hand, not having a t-shirt like this, a helpless student? You shoot my sister, you kill my sister, and you want me to go to school? No, I'm going to be a secessionist forever. Cameroon is divided. Okay. We are waiting for the physical division. It's gone spiritually. That is why you see, no matter the excesses that Atang and Jipo has put out, they carry rebels, criminals to corrode the image of the Ambazonian fighters. They cut heads of Fulanis, they put out in the street, make all videos, come to the Senate, set us up and go there and wipe it. And that is why our people, despite the hardship, they have not relented. You jail our leaders for life, ask them to pay 250 billion. You know what? Take the money that you have taken from oil Indian for all these years, give us the balance. And allow the rest to
okay.
get
Thank you so much. Before getting back to you, Mr. Jose, I want to remind our platform followers that right now back in Cameroon, school is about to return in a fortnight, but there's a lockdown that no school return in the English Cameroon, that is the Northwest and the Southwest, because there has been an ongoing crisis for the past 3 years till today. There was a peaceful march against the system of government, that was a system of education that was put in place by the Cameroonian government that wasn't condoning with the norms of education as seen by the Anglophone man, the Englishman, who believes his education should stay, the system should stay as it was, because it is very well recognized in the world. Right now, 3 years down the line, no education has been holding in the Northwest and the Southwest. And right now, the internally displaced Cameroonians who have run away from the crisis that is affecting the Northwest, Southwest, with the 2-minute deployment of military personnel to go handle the crisis, and it's been radicalizing the population. Mr. Jose, you listened to Eric very well as he enumerated the facts. He says life is better than education. That is where he puts his argument. You have a right to live before you think of going to school. And right now, living in Northwest is not a guarantee. Why would we preach to school when there's insecurity? That is Eric's point of view.
Yeah, the guarantee of living in Northwest and Southwest, because Eric took guns. And he's claiming publicly, loudly, I have guns. And as long as this is not the first time I'm on a platform and Eric's screaming, I have guns, and I'm saying publicly. Eric, I just want to say to Eric, right here in America where we live, which is a host country for each of us, we vacate to our occupation. Eric, The law is not so much in favor of every group of people who live in this land, who was just, I believe, was the Aboriginal Indian land, who is right now in this country, the great country of democracy, and whatever live in the reserve. Okay, they live in the reserve on their own land, and this country is the one to fly all over the world, tell people democracy is this, democracy is that, democracy is this. Eric, I understand. I wish if you could have been in the Black Panther back in the day, probably maybe the black people in this country will have better right, because you speak with energy, with passion. Let me tell you something. I believe we all can be passionate, because I myself, when I grew up in Cameroon, I was at some point being very frustrated. And when I traveled across the ocean and I learned about how the world works, because of course, I don't know if Cameroon built guns, if maybe they built guns in Ambazonese, but the guns is built by, we know who built the guns. The guns built by the men that you and I speaking the language right now. I wish for us on this table to be speaking Batibo, Akum, I say Abela, I say Abona, Folara, then we can go and go and go. And the shocking, I'm talking as you an intellectual, I'm an intellectual, I'm shocking like how far back black people have gone to base the future as your right of life, like you're saying, on the Western belief of culture, way of eating, way of dressing. Look at me. And I'm not saying I'm so good. All I'm saying is, like Eric, there's always room for expansion. I don't know why now it just happened to start for Ambazonese when all this thing was going on with Aijo doing what he was doing, where they know, or maybe there was not as strong as Eric, people on the air, on the ground, to stand up like Ayuk or whatever, or history have its course. I understand. Brother Kenneth say he want Cameroon to go back to Cameroon K. We might even go back to when we used to have Usman down for Dio and Samori Toure, where there was just big plot of land and the king was just going from left to right, migrating. There will never be a world where you believe that this is the beginning, because from the Big Bang, the world been on the move. Okay, that's what I believe. And where we are right now, we're starting from here. Tato, you never chose to be born where, I don't know where you was born in Cameroon. Well, I believe you was born in Ambazonese, but maybe.
Thank you for that call.
Yes.
Let me just interject.
Yes,
if you don't mind.
I'm going to land. You know, when you were speaking, I was listening. I was listening very carefully.
Wow.
I was just saying, I don't believe American, all those FBI, if they're the one encouraging you for carry guns and doing genocide, therefore we as government of Cameroon will go after America, because I believe if you're an American citizen, even a resident where I am, they think that you signed, you're not going to be encouraging terrorism nowhere in the world. If they allow you to do so, then so we believe America is after us, supporting instability in Cameroon.
I would just
and which
before Brother Kenneth will speak. Just let me say something.
Yes, when he lands, I'll give you.
I think he's landing.
No, you're thinking, Eric. I know. I just saw you, Eric.
Like 2 minutes.
Eric, you have an energy, Eric, and I like the energy. I say we can put that energy on sitting and talking, because when I look at your nose, I look at my nose, look at your crappy hair and my crappy hair. We look very close than the white man who gonna hand you that paperwork say independence. We're very more close, more alike, even in physiology. But how hard is for you and me to sit down and think of our forefather as a Bantus and sit down and talk?
But have you created the platform so you and Eric can sit down and talk?
Me being here, for those, remember when I first used to come to this platform, that, oh, you cannot come. I went to a debate with Tato Wade before I left. The police was there to escort me to leave. And this is the kind of democracy we want in Cameroon. Oh, Paul Biya is a dictatorship. I'm in America with some fellow who we travel abroad. I believe I'm in the land of the free. And I come around at the round table, but I have to be escorted by the police in the United States of America. Did I retaliate?
I think this very debate was when the bars came from Europe and
whatsoever, the radicalization. Tomorrow might be not the CPDN in power, okay?
Yes.
And all I'm saying is, like, I think I'm keep asking for moderation, for understanding. It's not fear. Power is power anywhere, okay? Cameroon have the right before the UN to buy guns everywhere. Maybe Tato have the same right, you understand? But in the name of in court of law, of international law, the army of Cameroon can buy some extent type of gun.
Okay, I'll give you 1 minute to answer this question, then I go to Eric.
Well, okay.
My issue here is, we were talking about the inclusive dialogue that everybody's looking up to, and every Cameroonian and the world at large was looking like Siseko Ayuk, who was a pacific leader in this struggle, who had never ever given orders for any radical actions to take place, has been sentenced to life in the midst of the debate, an inclusive dialogue we are looking up to. The leader of the secessionist armies has been sentenced. Is it not serving like a catapult to more radical actions?
It's not. Those in the justice of the Republic of Cameroon, which are under the law, judge Siseko as somebody who carry Cameroon passport. When you're going to carry Ambazoni passport, will have some regard. But as now, he is a citizen of Republic of Cameroon. At the American Immigration Office, Siseko have an alien number. The alien number is from the Republic of Cameroon, recognized as the United Nations, okay? So Cameroon, under the name of the law, have Siseko as one of his civilian. If they were to say, where are you from? Maybe he's American, I don't know. But he is Cameroonian. He was an American, I believe he will be back right here in America. So you ask me a question, I'm answering the question, then you're going to have the floor, Eric. Yeah. You understand? It's not. It's to show any country have the right to show the strength. If Eric believes secession is strong, good, prove it. Stop the school, that's good. But Cameroon have to prove that we're still strong, the integrity is there, and we are doing our justice. It's up to Paul Biya to do as Misty, but the justice have to do his work. Because I said to Eric right here, my brother was killed. When he talk about people getting killed, he's so passionate. I'm passionate, my brother was killed. Yes, so I can be passionate. I have to go in Cameroon, take my housekeeper who is from Santa, kill her too, and then have my assistant, my secretary from Akum, kill her too, and then start a ride in Yaoundé. I don't want to see no Anglophone in this region. Go to Douala, wherever they come to find safe haven. Eric, there always room for people, and that's why I don't understand people of color. In America, it's black on black crime when the slave master was a white person.
I think Eric has something to say before we come.
I'm done.
Mr. Kenneth.
Yes,
Eric.
Thank you. First and foremost, I always base my discussions on principles, and I have noticed that some of these our people who have the Biya syndrome have actually progressed in celebrating dishonesty. And I enjoy it. First and foremost, when a young man like my brother over there calls a revolution terrorism, it would appear that two things are happening here.
The act of terror. The revolution is a revolution.
Just
the act of terror in this revolution.
Let me learn.
They are act of terror, Eric.
I agree with you absolutely.
You have a right to have it to be a revolution. And
I cannot deny
Sorry.
what you're saying, especially when you're still swimming in dishonesty. You see, there are two things that are happening here. Number one, either he does not know the meaning or the definition of terrorism and whose category a revolution falls, or he simply has never heard the word terrorism. But I know he has heard it. Now, let me tell you something, Modest. It is inconsequential for me to have a debate about the standard of the Ambazonian revolution. It's inconsequential. It will never occur in any Congress in the world for me to answer questions on terrorism as an Ambazonian. It will never happen. So if you try to plunge the government of the United States with your chicken Cameroon government led by a 90-year-old, thereabout-year-old dictator, Paul Biya, it's not going to happen. And I want you to know that America is very patient. They have done, they have done everything to set me up. The first time I went to the FBI, when somebody wrote that, cloned my account, and posted that I have said that they should burn houses and vehicles of senators. So the FBI saw that and then called me, and I showed my account. They verified. Today, I say it on Facebook every day. All my Facebook accounts bearing Eric Tato have been disabled. He knows. The last time I was here, yes. He saw all the procedures. And Facebook makes policy very stringent in a way that since it's free, you cannot sue them, and the chances of winning is
very slim.
it's not very slim, it's an understatement. It's the slimmest in the world to win Facebook. I've read all those policies, but I'm still live. That's the only way the Cameroon government can use those Facebook community values to try to put some of us in social media jail. That is where they end. But to classify the Ambazonian revolution as terrorism, my brother, I will assure you that, like you have said, I have said it before, and in all the platforms, going by the Second Amendment of the United States, it is my legitimate right to teach my people back home, as a resident of this country, on how to hold guns, manage guns, defend themselves with guns. And there is no international community, from the ICC or anywhere in the world, that can hold me responsible for asking people to defend themselves. Remember, we did not declare war in our country. Paul Biya was at the tarmac of the Nsimale International Airport and said that now is war. And what are we supposed to do? Fold our arms? No. We defended ourselves. Before I stop, let me make one very clear point. Back to that school issue. I want to repeat it, that we have guns and schools will not open. The United States, the ICC, UNESCO, Commonwealth, ECOWAS, CIMAC, UN, AU, everybody should take note of this statement. I am ready for the worst. Schools will not open. Anybody that will be seen around school campuses will be arrested. That is a standing order from the rebels. There's one government in Ambazonia and there's an intruder, which is the government of Pobia. And we will defend our land till the last person. We will not have schools because Cameroon wants to use school to score political points, and we are going to stop it.
Thank you so much, Eric. When we'll be coming back from a commercial break, we'll be focusing on the lockdown that most Anglophones also are complaining that is affecting mostly Anglophones and not the Francophones. And equally, we'll be focusing on the solutions Mr. Honoré and the CPDM of Cameroon are looking to bring on board so school return can be effective. Ladies and gentlemen, let's stay tuned while we observe a commercial break.
Award of Washington, Award 2019. 15 catégories sont retenues cette année par le comité d'organisation. Si vous êtes acteur dans ces catégories ou alors si vous avez des candidats à proposer dans ces catégories, faites-le dès maintenant au 202 553 78 62. Voici les 15 catégories concernées. Best African Community Group, Best African Driving School, Best African Social Media Personality, Best African Embassy, Best African International Female Artist, Best African Gospel Artist, Best African Home Head Agency, Best African International Male Artist, Best African Sapper, Best African Soccer Team, Best African Student, Best African Young Entrepreneurs, Best African Restaurant, Best African Cultural Dance Group. Award 2019. Ne ratez pas le rendez-vous samedi 30 novembre 2019. Award of Washington, Award 2019. 15 catégories sont retenues cette année par le comité d'organisation. Si vous êtes acteur dans ces catégories ou alors si vous avez des candidats à proposer dans ces catégories, faites-le dès maintenant au 202 553 78 62. Voici les 15 catégories concernées. Best African Community Group, Best African Driving School, Best African Social Media Personality, Best African Embassy, Best African International Female Artist, Best African Gospel Artist, Best African Home Head Agency, Best African International Male Artist, Best African Sapper, Best African Soccer Team, Best African Student, Best African Young Entrepreneurs, Best African Restaurant, Best African Cultural Dance Group. Award 2019. Ne ratez pas le rendez-vous samedi 30 novembre 2019. Award of Washington, Award 2019. 15 catégories sont retenues cette année par le comité d'organisation. Si vous êtes acteur dans ces catégories ou alors si vous avez des candidats à proposer dans ces catégories, faites-le dès maintenant au 202 553 78 62. Voici les 15 catégories concernées. Best African Community Group, Best African Driving School, Best African Social Media Personality, Best African Embassy, Best African International Female Artist, Best African Gospel Artist, Best African Home Head Agency, Best African International Male Artist, Best African Supper, Best African Soccer Team, Best African Student,
Dear
Best
viewers, welcome back from the commercial break. Before we go anywhere, I would not hesitate to give the mic to Mr. Kenneth, who has been very patiently waiting and boiling with facts here to put on this school return. We're now trying to focus on the lockdown, the impact is causing on the community, and equally the solutions that the government can bring in place so the school returns normally, if that is a possibility. Mr. Kenneth.
Okay, thank you, Modest, for giving me the opportunity. I'm not sure that the government of La République du Cameroon, in its present form, is interested in resolving this crisis. When the crisis started, just 3 years ago and up until now, they're not interested in dialogue. They claim, and this is where I disagree fundamentally with my brother
Josué.
who, I mean, who's, for lack of a better word, is the mouthpiece of the government in this debate. The government is not interested in dialogue in any form or shape whatsoever. They are not interested. Proof of that is the fact that some of them go out there to clamor for schools to open, and then they turn around counterintuitively, and then they put a heavy sentence on the hostages that they abducted across state lines from a different state, Nigeria, into a different jurisdiction in the Cameroons, to sit in a military tribunal where you have 9 French-speaking judges, and according to them, that is bilingual. So these guys are not interested in dialogue. A few years ago, an anti-terrorism law was enacted in what passes for a bicameral assembly over there. And it is those laws that these people are now using to prosecute people. Let me just say in passing that Nelson Mandela, whom we all know, needs no introduction, was called a terrorist by the apartheid regime, from Prieta Botha to Frederick de Klerk, and even before that, Mandela, Walter Sisulu, all of them. You know, these guys were called terrorists. We all know what happened afterwards. Mr. Mandela became president of Azania, or South Africa. So the sort of misguidedness that my brother Jose is using to describe what is going on here calls for a lot of reason. A lot of things. I mean, a lot of things need to, I don't know, to be explained one way or another. But we don't have time for that during this program. What is happening lies squarely in the hands of the Minister of Injustice, Laurent Esso. We are not going to run away from the fact that if the incumbent president of La République, Paul Biya, is incapable, however we look at it, is incapable, either he lacks the wisdom or the wherewithal, or even lacks the will, or mentally and physically is incapable of resolving this crisis, or even sitting with people. I don't know if he can withstand. The other day, this guy had to go to Japan. I hear that they hired the plane that had to leave for Japan. It was waiting there. There were the pilots in Hilton Hotel. And the gentleman turns around, and in the last minute, he's not going. What is happening with him? Where is he? Why has he not met Cardinal Toumi? He sent for Cardinal Toumi to come and wait for him. Cardinal Toumi sat there waiting for days. Why can't he meet with the Cardinal? What is wrong? What is the problem? So these guys, for those who are around him, look, since Ahijo with Samuel Ebois, the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic has been given signature rights to sign on behalf of the president for a definite period, a certain number of days. Those days could be 21 days. Those days could be 28 days, and so on and so forth. Whether it was Samuel Lebois, whether it was, David Aboue-Machoyi, and so on. We have a situation in Cameroon right now whereby another Lembe Yezu, Ferdinand Gongo, has been given permanent, ascribed permanent signature when the president is alive. Is the president mentally capable? Is he physically capable? Why is he given? Is it constitutional to give permanent signature to your Secretary General? Is it? So these are the people, these are the sort of, if you cannot sit with people to dialogue, then, I mean, of what use are you there? Then people are fighting and killing themselves for nothing. Some of these things need to
that
be
point
examined.
pushes me, thank you so much for illustrating that. It pushes me back to Jose. Jose, we've been talking about these possible talks that would have really made peace so school return normally, but the House of Assembly of Cameroon has not given grounds such that this point could be debated upon, and that is where everything that has to be put in place like law or like enactment should pass for a kind of democratic debate. We have seen on many occasions how the SDF representatives of the House of Assembly have been asking that this be tabled in Parliament and talked about the Anglophone problem. Till today, it has never been mentioned, and we are talking about a possible inclusive dialogue. Is that possible? When Cardinal Tume 2 days ago and Jacques Kindi, they organized a talk forum, and it was disrupted by the police. So are these things really summing up to give a possible talk ground?
I want to say something here, and I'm going to repeat myself. The shape of the state of Cameroon is ongoing chantier. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our elected deputy in National Assembly are not doing the job right the way we hope for it to be done.
Sure.
Just like the Ambazoni problem that started in the early 60s or 50s, and it's up to now that the young, energetic Eric Tato is on the floor and remind the forefather that they did not know what to do when they should have taken care of this long time ago. We shouldn't be here. Maybe when I'll probably be born on the two states of Ambazoni and Cameroon, close in between Nigeria and La Republique. You understand? Any country, even the United States, we have the Congress, the Senate, and every day they in there working to make a better America. I'm not going to doubt the wisdom of my elders who are elected leaders. A lot of them have failed us. You go to constituency, the local leader have a mansion, but there are no roads. But we know that the Cameroon National Assembly gives to any deputy some amount of money to go do some local job. At least the preliminary, because we have the Ministry of Rural Affairs, Development Affairs, who build tie roads and all that. But there's some preliminary, like build some dam, well, little things that the community can need, ABC. Mm-hmm. But they take the money, buy an $80 million car, have a nice mansion in the village, and take the most beautiful woman put in the mansion, okay? We know it. So it's not up to me, because the ruling party, we have the ruling party, we have the government. And the government of Cameroon is a consumption of opposition and the ruling party. We have RDR, we have Dakole Daisala party, which is a lot of people from opposition party is in the government of the ruling party, which is the CPDM, who is the majority at the National Assembly. You understand? Of course. According to the shape, I believe what Minister Tanganji said in France 24. We can debate of anything that is the problem of the well-being of civilian in Cameroon. But the shape of the state is not Minister Tanganji who created the Republic of Cameroon. He himself was not in the office.
And the same
the
same clauses were in the constitution that the form of state should never be tampered with. That is when the federal constitution was written in Fumban. and that was tampered with by the Biya regime when Biya took over Cameroon, and it became United Republic of Cameroon and then Republic of Cameroon. So that is kind of constitutional violation too, if we say we cannot talk on the form of the state.
And that's why I extend my regard to my how can I put it? I extend my demand to Brother Tato. Like, we all agree that certain things put on paper have been violated. Okay?
Sure.
So what is the constitutional way to approach it? I keep saying carry guns is not a solution. If it was made by their forefather constitutionally in Fumban, I believe, right? In Fumban,
yes.
It can still be made today constitutionally. If we pick the guns, I don't believe Ambazonese.
Modest.
Don't you see, as a representative of the Cameroonian government on this platform, that if the military that have been deployed into a southern Cameroonian zone, as I would prefer to call, if they're called back to La République, as we'll call in respect to this debate, there would be a kind of peace that can return and possibly bring people out of the land.
That can only be acknowledged at the statement of people like Tato. When I was coming here today was to speak and listen to Tato say, I keep extending hand to say, let your children go to school. That's the Ambazoni children. If you call them Ambazoni, that's good. But still let them go to school. I'm not saying they're Cameroonian Republic children. Let them go to school. Maybe you find the funding as you raising money to buy guns. Raise some money to build some schools while you're going to be kicking Cameroon Republic army. But leave your children still go to your school with your own children, because I believe in Ambazoni land, there's some good professor, doctor, as Kenneth sits right here, who are educated. And I believe the right to live, you cannot live as an animal. We are human. You cannot live in 21st century with children who don't.
Tato's problem is life before education, and that life is threatened. It is not a guarantee if the student, the people come back.
The forefather of Eric Tato lived in that country, even with maybe the treaty that was probably doomed, and with that life threatened, and they died on the normal death, and there was burial. But we have, I'm gonna land. We have Anglophone here in the United States. I have one right now, a situation where somebody have to go to Batibo. They don't even allow the cops to come to their own village because they believe, oh, this man, he died, did he contribute for the fight? I believe it's nonsense. Some old people like this old man who just died, and she cannot be buried because Ambazoni say to bring, or the son of those people, did they contribute or they not to support the revolution? How can you explain that? What morality is behind that? Somebody who lived a life die. What is the morality not to be buried with dignity?
So what is the solution the government has in hand now to bring people back to the village?
The head of state on the speech, many speech asked his kids, I say, you my son, I've done mistake. I claim the war, I ask now, I extend the hand. Put the guns down, let's talk. And the shape of talking is not up to me. I already said that on this platform. The head of state know the shape of the debate, and he said by the time comes, they already start in Switzerland. I think maybe Eric was in Switzerland.
That's an abomination.
Okay.
To me, I'll just seize the mic very quickly. Nothing is in Switzerland.
Okay.
Because dialogue is different from a symposium. It's different from a rally. A dialogue is different from a round table. Round table is dialogue. A dialogue is different from a lecture.
Yes.
You understand? Like a student sits in class and you're telling me, go and put yourself together. Let me tell you that Switzerland was a scam. And I want to accuse the Swiss government for playing 419 with the poor of Southern Cameroons for allowing Biya to jail our leaders. Let me tell you something that you don't understand. I have a lot in my mind. And I feel, I'm not emotional. I'm very pragmatic. You see, I feel very hurt. Sometimes, when I listen, I have said, for example, that if my mother goes out, if she goes out on the 2nd of September, which is lockdown, and if somebody picks her and said, somewhere outside, say, this is Eric Tato's mother, please, apply the law of the land. Let me tell you, Paul Biya cannot order us to drop guns. When there is a crisis, when there's an armed conflict, like the case of Bangersville, Bougainville and Papua New Guinea, what do? The government or the international community calls for what they call a truce. You do not ask a belligerent in war to drop weapons. If you call for war, you have to drop your weapon first. The Cameroon government did not ask us to take arms.
Oh, you guys live in the territory of Cameroon. So the Ambazonese live in the territory of Cameroon.
Listen.
Carry guns.
Let me come. The Cameroon government did not ask us to take arms. The Cameroon government picked up arms against us, invented our territory.
No, it was Cameroon, I believe.
No, listen, please.
It was the Republic of Cameroon.
It's good you talk about black on black slave colonialism. Probably in the 21st century, we were probably a few among the colonized people who are still existing in Africa. That is a crime against humanity that the world has allowed against the poor of Southern Cameroon. The evil that Mr. Biya has perpetrated against our people. Do you know that as we speak, only 2 days ago, the military went in their dozens, arrested everybody in Siseko's village, Siseko Ayoktabe, the leader of the secessionist movement. They attacked his village, Ewele, in a Mojok, in Manu, killed 5 persons. How do you shoot a youth leader? It's coming from the farm. You shoot the person and kill. You arrest people, armless people.
How do you have all these facts being here? If I may ask, I mean, we are living in a very. I know.
I will answer that.
You might not want to disclose.
I will answer that in the person. I have my stuff going, so I want to concentrate on what I want to tell, because answering that may derail me. Let me let you know something. You arrest people. You are going to detain them, assuming that they are suspects. You reach on the road. You just select. You remove and shoot. I mean, the military of Pobia, the soldiers find joy. They are celebrating as they're murdering Ambazonians. And bro, see here.
How do you think those military have the border that head was cut? You know what's the military?
When
you speak like a military. You know when you cut the head of military brother.
Let me say this to you, my brother. The Cameroon government has assaulted us, raped us. We are so hurt that even here in America, that you talk about this thing that you are talking about is because I'm a modest separatist. If I were, sometimes I feel like also pulling a trigger on you right here in this studio. I'm serious. Let me come, because these are very serious issues that you people should be telling your government, that you cannot kill children, you kill mothers, rape girls, burn people. Boy, you know what you're saying? You know what it means that you are in America? They call that the military has killed your family, killed your mother, break into your house, kill your sister. You know what it means to somebody to inform you that the military has killed your mother's child that is just 4 months old, or your sister's cousin? You know what it means?
It happened in the Middle East.
Listen, that is the problem.
It happened in the Middle East.
That is the problem. We are not concerned. The crisis in the Middle East is inconsequential.
It's concerned. We are human. We
Listen,
live in
let me tell you something.
We live in a global world.
Let me tell you something. I'm trying. See, what you're trying to do is, I can say, it's the fallacy of argumentum abaculo, appeal to force. If you don't do this, I will not do this. Like, you're just trying to ramble things. You're modeling things up. I am telling you what is happening in my homeland. I'm not. We are on this. Listen, let me tell you something. You
talk about democracy. We on a plateau of television.
I agree with you.
You talk about democracy. You talk about pulling a trigger on me, and that's democracy. Because I'm supporting and defending my idea. My idea. You want to pull a trigger.
Also pulling a trigger. Also pulling
on the plateau.
Listen. Yes.
When I come to you,
what does my idea have to do? I don't have the right to choose.
Let me tell you. You have the right to choose.
Debate.
That is why I have the right to suggest to you, according to American law, that I can pull the trigger on you.
It can go both ways.
That is the point. So accept the fact that the reality is that we don't want our children to go to school. And when you say that we should take, give me a while. Let me explain something to this gentleman. His problem is not because he likes Cameroon to be together, as he claims. The problem is that he has not understood 2 things. He has not understood that Cameroon is no longer together. And the second thing is that Cameroon will never be together. And now this is the point.
That's what you believe.
This is the point. We will probably take it from me today. Today is the 30th. of August. Paul Biya will discuss everything. You see Yaoundé, you see Douala, you see Edea, Betwa. Wait and see what's going to start happening. My name is Eric Tato, and if they don't release every Anglophone that is in jail, dialogue will not take place anywhere. The US should hear this. It's not a precondition. There is nowhere in the world that you go for dialogue in a war without a truce. There must be a ceasefire. There are preconditions for dialogue, not preconditions. It's not like something that holds dialogue.
Eric,
let me land. Let me please.
Okay,
let me land. There are sine qua non conditions. What will lay the foundation for dialogue? Enabling environment. Like you want children to go to school, take out the military. You know how many children in Nigeria? More than 1 million.
You offer that to the government?
The government is aware. The fact that you are even aware, the fact that our people went to Switzerland and attended a symposium, what they call pre-talks, without the government of Cameroon. Till date, the US has made a statement on that Switzerland stuff. African Union has made a statement. Everybody has made a statement apart from the government of Cameroon. And you tell me that we should go, there is nothing in the eyes of Cameroon as the constitution. The only thing a Cameroon government see, we will take that country with guns. I can assure you. We'll take it with guns.
Eric Tato has just concluded his point there. We will give the room to Mr. Kenneth, who has something to really elaborate on right now before we get back to you, Jose. And very soon we'll be going around because the debate is almost coming to an end. We have some minutes to talk. Equally, we still have sufficient time so you can intervene. Mr. Kenneth.
Okay, thank you, Modest. One of the principal reasons of this debate we have today is the going back to school that the government of La Republique is interested in. Our government's spokesperson is yet to tell us why the government is interested after 3 years for pupils, students in the occupied territories of southern Cameroon to go back to school. The government, the mouthpiece of government on this debate is yet to tell us why. Okay, having said that, my brother will say again, talking for the government, keeps from time to time quoting the Minister of Territorial Administration. Okay. Modest, since independence, 1960, we now in Cameroon, the present administration, the Biya administration, has the equivalent of roughly 68 ministers. Since the independence of Cameroon, we have never had somebody from the southern Cameroons be a minister of finance, be a of finance and economy, be a minister of external relations or foreign affairs, be a minister of territorial administration or interior, and so on. These strategic main posts. Paul Biya has created, I don't know, in fact, there are at least 20 ministries in Cameroon that should not even exist as ministries. We have a plethora of ministries. And that is reminiscent of the incompetence that this administration represents. Okay? Why is Paul Atanganji a minister of territorial administration? Let me say one or two things. When the governor of the Northwest region, when we were still together, Abba Ahmad, and by the way, Abba Ahmad is a Bali Chamba from the northern Cameroon, and when he got to the Northwest, he was surprised to see Bali Chamba. That's where the Bali Chamba originated from. So, on one of these their Independence Days, which they celebrate on the 20th of May, many years ago, instructions were sent from the presidency of Cameroon to give Atanganji Paul, who himself is an alumni of the state penitentiary in Nouvelle Douala. instructions came from the presidency to give him a medal, I believe on 20th May, when the Governor Agba Ahmad was there in Bamenda. And Governor Agba Ahmad decorated this gentleman. Few years later, forward time, he's called over to the presidency to be, I don't know, minister of whatever it's called, missions, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that is a position that represents the intelligence services of Cameroon. Next thing you know, he is made of the Security Council, whatever Security Council they have over there. And then, as an ultimate provocation to Southern Cameroonians, somebody who barely finished school, somebody who barely finished whatever it is that he God alone knows which school.
He was president with the CAP. Continue.
So that was back in those days when nobody was going to school. Ahijo was a postal service worker. Mm-hmm. And he even tried his BAPC or whatever that thing is called. And the first attempt, he did not pass. But he later on passed. Yeah? So you have somebody who, I mean, whether he even passed his GCE levels, nobody knows. But as an ultimate provocation to Southern Cameroonians, he was now made, called over to the Ministry of Territorial Administration because of what the type of things he had said. Oh, there's no Anglophone problem, and so on and so forth. Now, look, there is a saying that be careful of what you ask for, you just might get it. Paul Biya asked for Atanganji to be Minat. He would get why this man is Minat. And if I based on some of the nonsense that I'm reading, il est jaloux pour le pays de unité du Cameroun, they would get what that unité du Cameroun means according to them. Right now, in their mindset, Cameroon is under a federal system anyway. But I will tell you that I know why they want schools to start. It's because the United Nations is on its way to Cameroon. And they will get there. With or without their approval.
Okay.
They will get there. So they are doing everything for schools to start, for them to show semblance, this whitewash attitude of the government that, okay, things are happening. Nothing is happening. The schools are not going to start. And the United Nations will intervene in this thing. Or we will have a change. We will have a change of power. I think that's what I'll stop at that for now.
Thank you so much.
I think Mr. Kenneth said something just to last.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes, thank you.
I'll be concentrating with
yes,
you.
Let me just clear this stuff. We want the UN to intervene, but I can assure Biya that with or without the intervention of the UN, we will not stop fighting. Mm-hmm. But it is a obligation of the UN to intervene and stop this genocide going on in Southern Cameroon. But of course, lastly, we are not interested in Biya leaving power. He can leave, he can stay. Our issue is not who becomes president of Cameroon. We are concentrating on the liberation of Ambazonia. Okay. Whosoever is president, if he doesn't come to the table for us to dialogue this our independent stuff, the war continues. We have all the guns you could not imagine.
Yeah. Cameroon.
Thank you so much for rounding that point over there. Jose, right now, we are looking to what you are bringing forth like a solution that will really make people believe that going to school is a possibility in the English zone of Cameroon.
I want, before to move forward, to remind my co-panelists that Cameroon is an independent country and the UN doesn't rule Cameroon. So while they come, they will also face the international law. We're going to remind them that Cameroon is independent and we have our law. And it's not the UN. It's not Guterres who tell to Cameroon what
Modest, international law supersedes national law.
And something that I was listening to the Grand Frère Kenneth here on this platform speaking, I don't know if Southern Cameroon is equal to Anglophone, because I remember when Atanganji said we don't have an Anglophone problem. Southern Cameroon might have problem according to the shape of the state. But having an Anglophone problem, I will still line up behind Minister Tanga, who says there's no Anglophone problem in Cameroon. Maybe the fact that Cameroon and Canada are the only two countries speak French and English could have been a plus for us to make sure the young generation can be speaking the both language, so that plot of land in the world can move faster, because we have people who speak. I'm a fluent bilingual. I'm speaking here in French and English.
Yes.
And that is a plus into any spectrum. If I want to develop Cameroon, if I go to school, I can go to school in America, I can go to school in France, okay? And then I don't understand why
Okay, if
people...
we put it like, is there a northwest-southwest marginalization? Would that make a case for you to defend?
Yeah, marginalization is everywhere in the world, even in Cameroon, okay? And in America, black people are marginalized. American Indians are marginalized, okay? It's true, it's proven. And Hispanic people just get killed by the white supremacists. It's marginalization. It happened everywhere. Of course, in Cameroon, the group of people. I'm from the West Province. I can claim, like, at some point of life, in Cameroon, there was some shape of marginalization where people used to say, graphis, or whatever, Bamenda, whatever. The marginalization don't only go one way. You understand? The Bamileke also marginalize according to the extent of power you have in your hand. You feel like you can diminish, you can blackmail any other group of people. You understand? So therefore, what I'm saying is this. I don't believe there's an Anglophone problem in Cameroon still today. There might be a problem of the shape of what our forefathers have signed, and some other leaders have maybe been doomed, okay? Therefore, moving forward to the solution. My co-panelists on the platform are radicalists. They believe they're not going to be a school. They claim it, they say it, they scream it, as Eric Tato been doing. Hey, he's free for his opinion, and I respect his opinion. But as a child of a country called Cameroon, I extend the courtesy. I know the government is doing a lot. The chief of all the region of Cameroon was just in the south region of Cameroon last week, marching just to call the Ambazoni to drop the gun and leave our children. They did not say the Anglophone children or the Ambazoni children to go to school. It's their own call. At the political level, Paul Biya is doing his own. Brother Tato, put maybe your African outfit or the European outfit, take a first-class plane, go to Cameroon, as those who went to Switzerland. When they went back to Cameroon, they was not arrested. Go to Cameroon, place your case in the... Of course, as you're stating, Cameroon have envahi. Le Cameroon a envahi the southern Cameroon. Okay? So you guys, your fight is to have them out.
Perfect.
Understandable. So I think the best way to do, as you're looking in the world, even America been in Afghanistan for 18 years. Now they're talking with how they call them, the Talibans. So they can find a shape, because America went there. Yeah. America went there with all the superpower, believe they can do it. I don't think that the government of Cameroon is trying to wipe off the Ambazonese, or so-called, those people claim themselves to be Ambazonese, because up to my age, I never knew there was a place called Ambazoni in Cameroon. Maybe southern Cameroon. Maybe southern Cameroon.
Thank you. Right now, I'll be giving each of you 2 minutes. We're rounding up. Eric Tato,
yes,
your
thank you. I'll be glad to start. The first thing is that he asked me to fly to Cameroon so that I can present the stuff. I'm a secessionist, a proud one, celebrated secessionist.
It's good.
Repentant. I have better secessionists in jail. Take them out, let them negotiate from there. If you take Ayok Tabe is there, why do you want me when I have my president in jail? My president is right there in Yaoundé. So it is very irrational for you to want Eric Tato. You want to add me?
Nobody going to arrest you.
To go and resolve the problem where Ayok is there. Solve the problem with Ayok. Start with Ayok. You don't need me. You don't need Ayaba. You don't need Mark Barretta. You don't need. We are here.
So why are you not after Nigeria?
Okay,
who allowed them to be arrested in Nigeria?
Let me.
They're going to be your next neighbor.
I need 3 minutes. I need 3 minutes because he has interrupted me. So I take my So he has raised a point that, just give me why. The first thing is that Cameroon is your country. It's not my business. That is why Atanganji, because as foolish as he is, he said there was no Anglophone problem. And I told people that, why are you arguing with Atanganji? He's right. Atanganji is very right. You are an Anglophone. because you speak English, but you're not a Southern Cameroonian. So that is why you said that there was the problem with the shape of the state, and that is what we are fighting for. We are fighting for the shape of the state. There is no Anglophone problem. That's the truth. That's why we have told the international community not to address us as Anglophones. It's not an Anglophone crisis. It's a Southern Cameroon's war of independence. That is the appellation. Without said,
30 seconds.
Without said, talking about Nigeria, we are diplomatic with other countries because they are our partners. No matter how much Nigeria has hurt us by releasing our leaders to Cameroon, we know it was done under the carpet in the dark. It's a black market transaction, bootleg.
Wow.
And we are not bothered because we have won an international case at the Federal High Court, Abuja. It's just that the Cameroon government, God has used phobia to show to the world that Cameroon is a country that does not respect the law. Without said, why we'll be following diplomatically with Nigeria to invoke and respect that judgment from the Federal High Court, Abuja. We will have our guns close to our chest, and no schools will open in Southern Cameroon. I am talking on two media, and I'm taking the responsibility that any child or father, landlord, anybody that allows people in school should be arrested, because that is the law that the rebels have put.
You rounded with a very strong point, still saying lockdown continues from the second of next month. I'll be giving the mic to Mr. Kenneth, who has been patiently waiting.
Okay, thank you, Modest. Just to round up, African lives are being lost in the occupied territories of Southern Cameroon. The warmonger is none other than His Excellency President Paul Biya. We saw the Gabonese president the other day, Omar Bongo's son Ali Bongo, walking in difficulty, but we saw him. We have not seen President Biya for a pretty long time. I mentioned he had to go to Japan. He didn't show up. He was a no-show. His Minister of Defense, Betty Asomo, together with DJ Bajek and I don't know whoever else is the spokesperson for Milkan today. All these guys, Minister of Injustice, Atanganji Paul and so on, Famen Dongo, there will come a time when what they are doing today, which is certifiably war crimes, crimes against humanity, because what the people in the gas chambers during the Hitler's time did and went and changed their names and hid in South Africa, they found some of them even after 48 years. So I don't know. Cameroon is not up to 50 something years old or 60 years old as a country. So I don't know why these people. Well, some of them who are half educated like Atanganji, I can understand what they are doing for the moment. But others were, because somebody like Betty Asoma here, he was very good in his class in ENA. People like that should understand and know what history is all about. Now, let me end by saying that let's not engage in some sort of semantic peddling here, whether it's the state of Southern Cameroon, it's Anglophone problem, and so on and so forth. Look, this problem started because lawyers go to court within the territories of the Southern Cameroons, and you have Francophone judges asking them to write things in French. What type of madness is that? In our land? Do you know what that means?
Some sort of assimilation.
Honestly,
I think you're rounding up.
We should be serious. We should be serious. So, if these people are incapable and continue the atrocities, continue the genocide that they are committing, like what happened to Slobodan Milosevic is also going to happen to them. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your contribution. Jose, you have 1 minute 30 seconds.
No, I must have.
I knew you would say
and
that.
Eric is happy because my time is short. Anyway, I want to thank Eric to be here. I want to thank Kenneth. All I want to say is like the debate was very, very energetic, and I believe that despite our differences, we must disagree to agree. and I will advise Brother Eric to be kind of sometime. I know Eric have a lot of energy. Eric, I am the same way. Kenneth next to you can tell you, I am very energetic. And when I discuss, I believe in my ground. You know, I stand my ground. I know nothing scares me. And I know myself. I might not be as tough as you are, got guns, whatever, but I think I have guns too. My guns is the legit way that the Second Amendment. I'm strong believer in the Second Amendment. I've been here a minute. So, and also living in the Western world, I believe we as people of the continent must find our way to resolve our differences instead of always give our hand to the Westerners who I believe don't have no interest or say so for us to be good, because where we end up today with Ambazini problem was created by the Europeans after the Second World War. So Eric Tato here discussing, I understand, even me, if my land was taken over, I would just fight like Eric Tato. But all I'm saying to Eric Tato is like, a bad arrangement is good than a better trial. Okay, the United Nations in Cameroon, I don't think myself will carry gun from the United Nations. I don't want them. I don't want a white man in my land. And if they have to come to the Ambazonese, I'll remind them to tell me what is that shape, the shape of a triangle with ass and chest. That is still on the repertoire of the United Nations that they call Cameroon, and they're going to come and tell me, a grown-up like me, like, oh, you know, this little part, we white people sit and we took this little part, it was British. So now we think that, so it still is not a way of assimilation, modern assimilation, for us to accept that we're still on the white man rules, and we're here talk about democracy, we talk about freedom. Let's free ourselves first from the white people, then Eric Tato, we can free ourselves from each other.
Thank
and
you so
I can
much,
extend,
Jose.
I can extend my love
Jose.
to the fight, and I respect the
for your
fight.
contribution and for the respect you people showed towards each other despite the differences in arguments. I want to thank all of you for always respecting and honoring this our platform to contribute to educate Cameroonians who watch us live. I want to thank those who wrote to me privately to contribute to the to make this show a better one, like Ngenge Lorata Nyonji, who wrote all the way from London, equaling Kessi Gideon from Douala. I want to thank them, and I'll call on everybody who wants to contribute to this platform with ideas so that we continue to share what their own opinions too. I thank all who tuned in today to watch our show, and I call it quit, and I say take another appointment, come next week, same time. I want equally to thank Joe Kamful Lati, who has been in the machine room, managing everything that has led to the success of this show. I want to thank Honoré, who contributed from France, my co-host, who is on a vacation with the family. And I equally want to thank Mas Marcia, who is one of the pioneer hosts of this show. And I'm announcing a big gun that we're bringing on the platform next week. That will be the famous, the celebrated as the journalist Eric Chinje, who will be here. We will be hosting Eric Chinje come next week. Take an appointment, same time next week. Eric Chinje will be here, and equally surely will be bringing another person to accompany Eric Chinje. Thank you for having us throughout this 2-hour talk.